Hey guys, welcome back. Today I wanted to go over a few key differences between DSLRs like the Nikon D850 and mirrorless cameras like the Nikon Z8. The first one seems pretty obvious. They're called mirrorless for a reason. If you don't know why they're called mirrorless, that is because they're lacking the mirror that reflects the image into the viewfinder. Take a look at this DSLR camera, the Nikon D850. Take off the lens cap here, or excuse me, body cap. Take a look in here. The first thing you'll see is a mirror. This mirror reflects the image coming through the lens and reflects that image up through the viewfinder so you can see it through your optical viewfinder here. Now when you take an image, that mirror flips up out of the way. That's a fun image, just a white screen. The one thing about the mirrorless cameras is when you remove that body cap, you'll just see the imaging sensor. So what that means is instead of having an optical viewfinder, you have an electronic viewfinder. So there is a small little OLED display in here that's, I believe it's 3.9 million dots, so it's a very high resolution LCD screen within the viewfinder, which is awesome. Having an electronic viewfinder actually brings a host of benefits like image review. You can actually review your image within the viewfinder, meaning you don't ever have to take your eye away from it. And you can do all your settings through the viewfinder as well. Everything is accessible, which is really cool, especially for those shooters using a 45-degree angle viewfinder on their underwater housing. That way you can really hold that up to your mask and never take it away. You don't even need to take it away to review your images, which is awesome. Since the mirrorless cameras don't have a mirror, they can actually build the camera bodies to be a bit smaller. So if you look at these side-by-side kind of comparison, they end up being a little bit smaller, which can save on weight. Now, one downside to having a mirrorless camera is going to be its battery life. For example, the Nikon D850, the DSLR, has a battery life that will last you about 1,400 shots, which is awesome. Now, however, the Nikon Z8 is a mirrorless camera that's rated for about 470 shots on a full battery. So battery life is a huge consideration. And of course, between the likes of Canon and Sony, there is going to be different battery concerns, especially if you're a hybrid shooter who's doing photos as well as video. That's just one thing to consider when you're looking at these camera options. One other main difference is going to be the mechanical shutter. A lot of the mirrorless cameras do away with the mechanical shutter, which means that the cameras, when you press that shutter, they just read every pixel out. They have a readout speed. They go from top to bottom typically. So instead of having a mechanical shutter, when I press the shutter here, you won't see anything happen, and you can probably not even hear it. Let's see. You can adjust the noise level on the Nikon Z8 and other mirrorless cameras to make it louder so you can actually hear it when it goes off. Because I found once I put this into my underwater housing and I was taking photos, I couldn't hear it and I couldn't feel it, which is a very unique sensation because with the Nikon D850 and similar DSLRs, when you press that shutter, you can feel it, you can hear it, you know what's happening. So that was a unique thing for me, shooting without a mechanical shutter. Very interesting, very cool, which also means you can do blackout-free shooting, which means you're never gonna stop seeing your subject. You can look through the viewfinder, the electronic viewfinder on the mirrorless camera, and continue shooting, continually looking at your subject without any blackout, which is incredible. Another aspect that mirrorless cameras really beat out DSLRs is going to be their autofocus performance. There's leaps and bounds of improvements when it comes to autofocus on mirrorless cameras. Specifically, speaking of the Nikon Z8 versus the D850, I found that my Z8 hunts far less and the focus breathing is almost non-existent. Once it locks onto a subject, it can really stick onto it, which is fantastic. Another benefit is going to be video recording. The Nikon D850 has been an amazing DSLR. It's widely popular in the photography community. If you want to do video, it does 4K 30. I also have a host of other ranges which I can plop here on the screen. But you know, it's not the best autofocus performance, and 4K 30, it's the highest you can go in the camera. So if you want to do any high frame rate shooting, you really can't do it unless you drop down your resolution. On something like the Nikon Z8, it is capable of 8K 60, which is just mind-blowing. I don't think I'll ever really do much of the 8K 60 recording, but if I want to, I have the capability to. Oh, and did I mention that it's 8K RAW? Yeah, crazy. It's awesome for underwater videography because you have so much latitude for adjusting the footage in post. So keep an eye out for some videos coming your way. Typically what I'll shoot is in 4K 60 on the Z8. It allows me to slow down my clips in post, really get that slow movement. But I can go up to 4K 120 frames per second. So if you catch an animal like the frogfish striking, you can get a really slow motion of that. I have been trying to get a video of a sailfin blenny displaying all its beautiful colors. I need to go back to the dive site here in South Florida called Aerojacks to try to get that shot again, because last time I was there, I accidentally deleted the footage. It was a bummer. Those are some of the key differences between mirrorless and DSLR cameras. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments and I'm happy to answer them and go over anything that I might have missed. Or if you think I'm wrong on something, which I very well might be, please just let me know down below and I'm happy to get back to you on that. Otherwise, happy shooting, guys. Let's get out there.